It's time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnet Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
We're back on Cutting Edge Consciousness. This is Barnet Bain with my co-host Freeman Michaels and our guest, Dr. Ray Blanchard. We're thrilled to have him here. Before the break, you had something that you wanted to get at, Freeman.
I do. Well, here's the piece. We started off with this idea that the observer affects what's being observed. They bring their own sort of filter, if you will, that then shifts or adjusts what they're seeing.
There are no bystanders in reality creation.
That's right. And I know, Dr. Ray, that you do a lot with folks to help them move their beliefs and agreements and ideas about who they are, what's possible, how the world works. And this is your work. So that's what I'd love for you to speak a bit about, and especially from your own perspective, how you came to understand these principles that you teach.
Well, Freeman, Bain, we want to take this from a more etheric kind of conversation to something that people can really sink their teeth into, and that's what I really love to do in the work that we do. And a great example is that a lot of people come into the work that we do with certain places where they're stuck, or places where they have dreams they want to, and they've reached a limit and a level that they can't get beyond, and they want to pop right through that. And what we essentially do is kind of like what I had to do, is that I remember one time in my life, I was about 7 years old, and we lived in the countryside, and we had a lot of property, and people used to say that we were land rich but money poor. In fact, we had no money. And my dad and my uncles used to have to fish and hunt to bring food into the house. And as a kid watching that, my dad was my hero, and I just really wanted to be with him a lot. And he had told me and my brother and my cousins our age that we were going to get to go on one of these fishing trips with them. And it was so exciting. I was really looking forward to it. I had all my hooks and all my things put together. And they used to leave about 5 o'clock in the morning every Friday morning and come back on Sunday night. It was always so exciting to watch them come in with their fish, and they brought candies and stuff. So I was really looking forward to going on one of these trips. And I was so excited on this night we were going to go, I couldn't go to sleep. So I must have gone to sleep later in the night and fell asleep. And when I woke up, they had already gone.
Mm-hmm.
I was devastated. And just standing there devastated. And I began to believe things about myself, that what is it about me that he didn't take me? I must not be the son he wanted. I felt unloved. I felt my dad abandoned me. I began to think that my dad was the worst human being in the world, where I used to walk in his footsteps when I could practice walking in his footsteps. I never did that anymore after that. And that affected me.
So you made a fundamental decision there.
Yeah, I began to see things in a way that I didn't have answers for, so I started making up things out of my hurt.
Yes.
And what that did is that affected how I lived life after that. I didn't trust people as much. I didn't get as intimate or close with people, particularly my dad and a lot of family members, and that lived with me throughout 27 years of my life until I began to get into this work, in which I began to see that was an event that didn't have all of the things I assigned to it. And I had to go to the point where I could separate all the interpretations that I made up, that I had taken for true.
Yep.
Versus the event itself, which was actually neutral. Now, I don't know what my dad thought, and I don't know why he did that. It could have been for all kinds of wonderful reasons, but I didn't see it that way, and I made up I made a tale up myself. And you know what you do is when you make up some kind of tale like that, you tell it to yourself enough time, you begin to believe it.
That's true.
And once you begin to believe it, it's real for you. So what we get to do is have people backtrack all of that and unwind it so that they are not automatically reacting to similar situations like that in life, and begin to own the fact that they were the interpreter and that they invented this story out of maybe some other need and held on to that for various reasons. And we want to help them identify the way in which they constructed it and what are the real reasons that they've been holding on to it for that way, and to let that go and see if they can get the rewards in a different way rather than holding on to it for their survival strategies.
I love that. And it actually speaks to what I was talking about earlier when I said, what part of me is doing the observing? Because similar to you, I have interpretations that are locked in, developmental stages, which at the time were appropriate, but now as a 40-something-year-old man, it's less helpful. But when that aspect within me, that we can call it a wound or just a part of my experience, gets triggered, I know I'm hearing from a particular part of me, but I don't necessarily want that part of me. Barnett and I like to say driving the bus. We don't want that part directing my choices. Right. So it's like, it's not as if we're not going to still have our hurts, but we recognize to what degree making decisions and creating stories from that particular vantage point is not so helpful.
That's right. So you don't want to erase the hurt and dismiss the hurt.
Right.
You just got too many other things attached to the hurt, and you got to separate them out. And most people don't have them separated out; they have them collapsed into each other. And once they're collapsed into each other, then your interpretations of that is driving the bus. And you don't know that it's driving the bus, it's just driving the bus. And you're now in a reactionary state to similar events. And then at 40 years old, what's driving your bus is back there, that 7-year-old is driving your bus.
One of the things that...
Get on with your life and be more productive.
One of the things that happens, Ray, and that has happened to me and that I can attest to firsthand is there are fundamental decisions like this that are made very, very early and out of which life takes on a very different turn. And before long, the ability to have a sense of vision and to understand what vision is and to understand what dreams are and to understand what hope is and to even access hope and to feel it as an alive and vibrant, energetic experience in the mind, in the heart, in the body that is exciting and heralds possibilities as well as announces possibilities and is the bridge from where we are to where we can be. That becomes lost. And I know that I, for the very longest time, didn't have the ability to even connect with those things so long, because I was for so long locked in these fundamental decisions, and eventually you kind of lose the way out. So what is your advice and experience for any of our listeners who can relate to that, for connecting with a sense of live vision, optimal futures, and a sense of a vibrant possibility?
First of all, most people can't do this all by themselves because you're already locked into your filters and you forgot that they were filters. And what you need is a set of some experiences or some activities, even simulations, where you can sort of do what you're doing with your filters on and have somebody guide you to kind of take a helicopter ride out and have you look back and say, oh, my goodness, that's what I was doing. And then I can start to see why I was doing it and what generated it. It's almost like if you were locked in a room all of your life and you had never been outside of that room, you would think that the whole world was in that room, and people explaining things outside of that room to you wouldn't make any sense. Or if you wore sunglasses of a dark color all of your life, you would see the world as that.
It's like being a blind person and being in a blindfold your whole life, and somebody saying, take off the blindfold and you'll see. And people say, well, how do I know I'm going to like it?
No, that's right.
Well, take it off and you'll see.
Yeah, but then somebody has to help you take it off because initially you say, what blindfold? This is the way it is.
Yeah.
And if we tell the truth, there's also a lot of folks hollering at us to keep it on.
That's right.
There's a lot of people who have colluded with us about these stories that we tell,
Yeah.
and so it's a big risk to invite change in, because that's it's wrought with uncertainty.
Yeah, because the society is filled with people who are defending theirs, and you're defending yours, because we have this mood in society to a great degree is support the victim and support people in their inadequacy and have pity for people, and that's what keeps it intact. But once somebody can be really straight up and earnest with themselves, and you can be straight up and earnest with them, it allows you to start separating. But initially people will say, oh, leave that person alone, because that's really hurtful for them to do that. They need that for their survival. But, you got to be strong enough to do that, because here's the consequence. If you don't have someone to assist you at taking those off, you'll keep them on all your life, and then you'll begin to think in that frame. And, getting back to your original talk, is that thoughts are things. And once you begin to think in that darker frame, you begin to generate a vibration, a field of energy that really reflects what you're really thinking. And then you start to show up in the world vibrationally consistent with those thoughts, and the world begins to interact with you on that vibrational field and that vibrational field of energy, and in which case people are sometimes attracted to that, people who are in a similar state are attracted to that, and some people who aren't are repelled by that. So your effectiveness in the interactive world becomes impaired by you thinking those thoughts, because your thoughts are generating reality.
Yeah, the hell of our own creation.
Well, we are unfortunately creating a very minor hell, but a little heat here nonetheless, because we're running out of time. But before we do so, we want you to share with our folks where they can learn more about your work. www.spectrumlifedesign.com, or you can simply go to our website at www.cuttingedgeconsciousness.com. And Ray, you're going to be presenting a course here in Los Angeles in a very little while. You want to?
Yeah, we have another course. We have a course called the Connections course, where you connect with yourself at that deeper level we're talking about, and connect with other people and connect with your vision and your dreams, so you can really be effective. August 9th through 12th is where we start again. We have what we call a 100-day challenge, 100-day leadership challenge, and we start at August 12th, in which we get people set up with the fundamentals of how to be more self-productive and
self-empowered.
Yes, self-empowered. And they just come to www.spectrumlifedesign.com and register. And for your listening audience, we'll just give them a break on that. Typical tuition is $697 to start that. And we've discounted it down to $397. But for all of your listeners, we'll make it $297.
Wow.
All you got to do is go to our website, spectrumlifedesign.com, and sign up.
And mention Cutting Edge Consciousness.
And when they register, they'll ask you for a code name and type in radio show.
Oh, perfect.
That's super. And I can say firsthand that I have experienced Ray's training, and I cannot be a more enthusiastic endorser.
And also, very important part that I want our listeners to consider, we were speaking earlier about when we're trying to take these blindfolds off, that there's a lot of support for keeping them on. What counteracts that is having a support system for taking them off. And I understand that your work is about creating an environment where people have enough support so they can begin to take these incredible risks and grow into their full potential. So I'm really thrilled we had the opportunity to have you on today, and we highly recommend your programs, and we hope that you'll come back and join us at some point again.
Or we'll have to come and get you.
That's right.
I'd love to.
All right.
Love you, Ray.
And for those of you listening, stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages.